Greetings, Britannia. I have gone live because I have a statement that I would like to read out. As a parliamentary candidate for Reform UK, I stood to fight against the narrative because I wanted to fight for democracy, for our sovereignty, and to cut the red tape that hinders so many SMEs and sole traders in the United Kingdom, and to ensure that those on the lowest income do not pay tax or national insurance, and to put our citizens first. Over 4 million of you, the British public, placed incredible faith in us in the election with your votes. And despite the irregularities of the British electoral system, we still managed a few victories at the polls. Although the greatest victory was for the time being fundamentally symbolic. However, since the election, I have noticed one disappointment after another, and the last one being overwhelmingly decisive. I, along with many others, expected the first announcement after the election to be that the party is going to be democratised, with every single paid up member becoming a voting member in a democratic party, but sadly, this was not the case. There was no mention of moving the party to an inclusive status post haste, but rather the financially motivated grooming of someone who had absolutely nothing to do with the party, no political footprint, and no part in taking reform from zero to hero, was ceremoniously rewarded with a total outsider leapfrogging all those who contributed to the success of the party, such as Ben Habib being leapfrogged by Zia Yusuf as he was made chairman, which has understandably not gone down with supporters and voters alike. If this is not clear and conclusive evidence that Reform UK, far from moving towards becoming a democratic mainstream party, was, is, and will continue to be the Farage Party, how can we argue that we are fighting to restore democracy when our own party is nothing of the sort? Speaking for myself, and probably many others in the UK, I can state on the record that I would be happy to go along with and support all moral and legal democratic political outcomes, provided that they were reached in a fair and democratic manner. But these ill thought out decisions over the last week have discredited what we all believed to be a noble cause. Finally, the revelation that Reform UK Member of Parliament for South Basildon has served a prison sentence for violence against women was a decisive one. Whilst I fully appreciate that this was years ago, and he has obviously paid his debt to society, and I do not know him, nor do I hold any personal malice towards him, I immediately considered how that would morally reflect on all the candidates and the party as a whole. And in that regard, I have been, to say the least, uncomfortable to be part of any organisation that would not immediately respond by removing him as a gesture of condemnation of violence against women, and also in support of all the victims of violence who must have been horrified that they either voted for him or Reform UK. For years, I have been championing Clare's Law in every way that I could in an effort to reduce the risk to women of domestic violence, and there is absolutely no way that I can continue to be associated with a party that has simply brushed this aside. In my humble opinion, the right thing to have done would have been to put immediate measures in place to democratise the party, ensure that members are included as much as possible, to have demanded that James McMurdoch resign immediately and called for a by-election. And who knows, perhaps they could have moved Ben Habib to South Basildon and ensured that the hundreds of thousands of supporters who have huge respect for him and were not taken into consideration could have had their support for Ben given the respect that it deserves. As it stands, none of this was taken into account. I won't even bother making an effort to relay my thoughts to anyone in the party because they will be ignored. And it is for these reasons that I resign from the Reform UK party with immediate effect. I will not be standing for Reform UK, nor will I support them or even vote for them. This is one of the most significant political disappointments in recent history, and I would, at this point, like to extend my apologies to the many wonderful candidates who have worked tirelessly for the right reasons, the members of public who supported Reform UK, and of course, the many thousands of people in Northampton who supported me, campaigned for me, and voted for me. I will continue to do everything I can for the people in Northampton in my capacity as parish councillor independently, as I need no badge of honour to help the community in my hometown, which I love. And that is all I have to say. Good evening, Mazza. Thank you very much for joining. And hopefully, my statement will speak for itself. I think that's all I need to say at the moment. And I will be back with further news and updates and discussions as an independent person later. Another question here. I thought Ben couldn't be a deputy leader as not MP. Is this because he isn't chairman? I'm not sure on the workings of it. There were two deputy leaders, which was Ben Habib and Dr. David Bull. They were both removed, and Richard Tice was made deputy leader. Fine, if he needs to be an MP, understandable. Not sure if they could have had Ben Habib as a co-deputy leader as well, or as chairman. I'm not sure on the workings of it. I'm just uncomfortable with somebody who just appeared, seduced the party, and bought his way up to the top of the party. That is in bad taste in the very beginnings, before we even got going. It doesn't sit well with me. And everything else as detailed in my statement. That's all for now. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.